Welcome to Mind Your Business, the channel where we are in everybody's business. If you don't mind getting in people's business, you're on the right channel. Talking about current topics and gossip.
Well, Martell is out here still being delusional. Tricia and her whole thing with her ex and Ken was definitely something. Let's talk about it, people. Welcome, people. My name is Crew. Let's talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville, aka Love and Mugshots. Now, of course, we saw Tricia and Mel catching up last week, and we know that Mel had a lot of questions for Tricia, which I understood. Tricia did admit that she, should have said something before to her, but, she still was dodging questions, what she does. Tricia was in confessional talking about how Mel clearly isn't over it because of all the questions that she had. But it's like, please, that sounded very side chick-ish to me to say that. Because I was like, well, if that was her husband at the time, of course she has every right to ask questions. So what are you talking about? But she was all, oh, well, she wouldn't care if it was her ex. She wouldn't care. It's still your husband currently, at that point of filming. But it's just like, whatever, Tricia. But she did invite Mel to her party that she was having for her kids, her son's graduation. So I thought, okay, cool. And Mel was like, yeah, cool, she'll come. And, they ended on a good note. Now, later we see Chris and Nell. Martell pops in to see them, and Martell is on smoke. As soon as Chris mentions Marceau, Martell is no longer smiling. He is on smoke and chatting about F Marceau. He just doesn't want to hear nothing what he has to say about that. Chris is basically trying to say that they're both wrong and it kind of went left. And Martell goes on his own delusional rant, particularly when Nell tries to kind of check him and say, well, look, you were kind of out of line by bringing up Tisha. And he's like, well, Tisha had an impact on his divorce and how she was, throwing stuff at Mel and throwing it in her face and, all this stuff about Tisha basically getting in Mel's ear and how it was a collective effort. Somehow it's everybody else's fault why him and Mel's marriage failed. Instead of him actually looking at himself and recognising that he's a problem. Once again, no one told you to go out there and cheat and have an outside baby. This is why you are divorced from your wife. Stop the foolishness. All this other stuff about it's everybody else's fault. Take accountability. This man is delusional. It's just really, really ridiculous to watch. Martell is definitely giving bitter vibes. Bitter and vengeful. So, of course, he's doubling down, talking about, yep, he's not apologising. Yep, he did say it. He's not in it. He's far as concerned. Tricia inserted herself. So he's gunning for all of them. And, even when Chris was saying, both of you guys are looking like it's just, relationship over. Like I've been saying, that relationship is done. But I find it quite ridiculous of Martell because Martell didn't mind when Tisha was out there defending him or giving a vibe that she's on his side when him and Melody was in mix-up. And when her and Melody was in mix-up, she would do little things to show that she was more on Martell's side. He didn't mind that then. He didn't mind Tisha then. Now, that him and Marceau are on the outs, he's throwing Tisha into the mix-up. So I'm just like, whatever. And also being petty by trying to reach out to his ex, Mel, to tell her little Jack and Norrie stories, a bit of bullshit lies, so he can try and get her on side so Mel can have them up. And I think Marceau was right about that when he mentions that later. Now we see Ken for a moment chatting to his friend, and he is talking about the whole situation with Marquise and the whole sit down and how he feels like Marquise is kind of unstable and very emotional and clearly upset that Ken has stepped up and, and being the father that the children do need. He's been there for the kids, he's been there for Tricia, so clearly we know that Marquise is disgruntled, so he feels like Marquise has it in for him in particular. Now, I do feel like Ken really likes Tricia. I feel like at this point watching the show, it looks like he likes her more than she's into him. That's just my opinion. And I say that because even when we see Tricia and Destiny next, and she tells Destiny that she's getting divorced, you could tell that she was not that bothered. Do you know what I mean? She seemed unbothered. Destiny was more bothered. She was all shocked and like, oh my gosh, you're going to go through a grieving process. Maybe you don't see it now. And Trisha's like, well, we've been separated for years now. So she feels like she's really gone through that process. But Destiny's adamant that, she's going to go through her grieving process. So I'm like, well, this is interesting, Destiny, because we didn't hear much about your grieving process. All I've heard about is Moses. So what did you go through? Because you didn't share that part of your journey with us. So it sounds like you should have done. You still have time. But anyway, Tricia was saying that she felt excited to sign the papers. But when Destiny said, oh, we plan a wedding, she definitely wasn't up for that. She was like, well, she's not ready. She feels like she wants to work on herself, her communication skills, and, you know, she's got a bit of anger issues. And to me, she's not ready to get married to Ken. I can see that. I feel like she wants to get divorced out of the way. She's saying that Ken does check all the boxes, but so did her ex at first. So clearly she's also got some unhealed issues there. But to me, I feel like Tricia needs therapy. She should go in therapy, because I feel like she's got some stuff she needs to work through. Because she was saying that Ken does help her with her communication skills and how he's encouraged her to, you know, not fly off the handle and to speak things through. But I feel like if she's not in therapy, she should be. And I say that because of what she's been going through, but also for her to say that when Destiny asked her, oh, so, you know, how's Ken coping with all this? Like, how's he dealing with it? Ken's very peaceful with it, and actually that's pissing her off. Like, what? What? How can your man being peaceful with what's happening, rather than being in chaos and being in some drama and wanting to kick down a man? He's peaceful, trying to say, let's keep it peaceful for the family. You have an issue with that. Like, no, girl, you need therapy. Like, get together. Because clearly you are used to chaos, and Ken's trying to show you the healthy, healed relationship. So I don't get that. Now, of course, we saw Marceau, Tisha and Mel catch up, because obviously Mel wants to find out about what's going on with this text that she got from Martell. She lets it be known that Martell texted her to say Tisha and Marceau both apparently said derogatory things about Mel. Now, Mel said she didn't message him back, so I was like, okay, that makes sense, because I was thinking she don't really want to deal with this man, so I'm sure she was thinking, why is he texting her? So she's gone to ask them about it. Now, of course, they're saying, no, that's not what happened. Well, Marceau was saying, no, that's not what happened. He didn't mention her. Tisha corrects him and says, yes, she did mention her at one point. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, I was saying that, you know, Martell's the type of person to say, did you sleep with Mel? That's not exactly what his words were. His words were, you know, suck his hood, right? But anyway, he brings that up and lets him know that, you know, that was the context in terms of how it was relayed, and fill her in and all the mix-up that happened, and how Martell was going off, and just a lot of foolishness. So they set her straight, and they got to see that Martell was just being messy, basically, and being a liar. And Mel's like, well, you know, they get to see what she's been dealing with. But Martell's plan just didn't work. It backfired, because they actually had the conversation, were able to hash it out and see that Martell is the one who's trying to create the mess. Like Marceau said, Martell needs a little backup, so trying to get Mel involved, knowing that Mel does know how to handle their backsides. We've seen Mel have up Marceau many occasions, which is hilarious to me. But anyway, point being, Martell was being messy. His plan just didn't really work. Now, what I thought was funny was when Mel was talking about Martell and how he's a liar and all that kind of stuff, and Tisha was very able to point it out. Oh, yeah, you know, he's trying to gaslight you. That's gaslighting. So I was thinking, oh, so you can point it out when it's Mel, but when your husband is gaslighting you, somehow you don't seem to understand or see it. Interesting. What I thought was interesting was at the start of that scene was when we saw Marceau talking to Tisha and saying, oh yeah, Mel's popping in and she messaged me. You can see Tisha was like, what? She messaged you? What is the hell is going on? How come she didn't message me? Why is she going to my husband and not coming through me? That's the look that it gave, that I was thinking. And when he was saying, oh yeah, so yeah, like, acting like him and Mel are cool, because we all know Marceau really does like Mel. When he was asking Tisha, so how are you guys? I was thinking, how come you don't know how Tisha and her are? Like, you guys are husband and wife. You should know this already. And she's like, yeah, we're cordial. We're cordial. I was thinking, I know you didn't like that. I know you didn't like that. Now, back to Tricia and Ken. When Marquise turns up, you just see the vibe kind of change. He just walks in. It's not like, at first way he walks in, I was thinking, okay, you seem like you're coming with like a little bit of energy. He just say hello to everybody, introduce himself as you know, the children's father. But it just went left. I felt like the way he conducted himself in the party was quite ridiculous. He gives very unhinged vibes, and I feel like the man needs therapy, because how, for one, are you going to be in other people's yards chatting about, yeah, let's do a toast? It's not your house, bruv. What are you doing? Yeah, come around. All the fellas come around. Excuse me? This is not even your house. So I can see why Ken is pissed off, because I didn't even see him say hello to Ken. Is that me? Maybe they just didn't show it. But I saw him say hello to a table of people and say he's the kid's father. But I didn't see him actually say hello to Ken. So, of course, Ken's over there annoyed, seeing him, you know, now gathering men chatting about, let's toast to wives and families. And I'm like, wives, you don't have, you're going for a divorce, bruv. Like, what is he doing? That was definitely off-key vibes to me. Then you've got him going chatting his business to people who don't know you. The man them don't know you from nowhere. They don't know you from Adam. This man's come up chatting about, hey, yeah, I'm Marquise to Maurice and Chris's son. Talking about he's upset about what's happening. he can't believe it. He's the children's father. The guy that she's with now, he was chatting to her from back in the day, like just chatting all the business. People don't know you from nowhere. Everyone's looking baffled and bewildered, like, why is this man chatting this business to me? And he needs help. The man's giving very unhinged behaviour. I was just like, oh, what a backside. No, this is not right. This is not right. Yeah, so everyone's there looking baffled. But like I said, the man needs therapy, yeah? And then when Mel turns up, I thought it was interesting, because when Mel and Tricia were talking and then Marquise decides to enter and everything just went left, he introduced himself to Mel. Firstly, I thought you're a bit very forward and feisty, because firstly, you're chatting about, oh, you've never been invited up to the house. It's the first time. It feels a bit awkward. I'm in my feelings. And I'm like, why are you trying to paint yourself a victim? Because Tricia definitely corrected him and was like, no, you have been here. You've seen the kid's bedroom. So, like, stop with the lies. And you can see that Tricia can't stand him. She was clearly triggered by him. And he knows that he can press her buttons. So the two of them just going back and forth. When he said to Mel, I know your ex, and, I just want to know how you can co-parent with someone who might be a trigger to you. I'm just like, firstly, you don't know Mel like this. For you to be asking her business, it is very out of order and very forward. But I thought Mel was quite nice and was like trying to, just say, well, make sure you're not a trigger. And she clocked that they was, triggering each other. I do feel like she tried to throw Tricia underneath the bus there, was just like, well, I can feel the energy now. I can see she's getting triggered now. I was just thinking, Mel, you don't even have to add that little piece of sauce, but I understand, you're doing your reality TV stuff. Do your thing. But that whole interaction was very funny. I see Mel just eating her food like, let me just take this in, because why are these two going back and forth like this? And Tricia just had to take herself out. Although she did correct Mel at first and was like, no, that's not what it is. Clearly they've got an issue between them. And so, when Tricia removed herself from that situation, I'm like, okay, good. Remove yourself from the situation. Then you've got Ken, who's clearly bothered by the way the man's going on, then goes to do his toast. And he starts off, and I thought, yeah, if you missed out the man's name on purpose, it's going to create problems. Because he's toasting about, celebrating the kids and, to us parents, to myself and to Tricia. I'm like, the real dad is there. Like, you have been a father figure, but they still have their real dad, and there's no reason why you should have just dropped his name out because you're pissed off. And I get it, he's pissed off because of the way the man was acting in the party, but to me, he was being shady and he shouldn't have done that. He was taking it too far at that, because we know the man's unhinged. He knows the man's emotional and the man's unhinged, but because of the whole alpha move, the little control issue where he tried to do the whole toast and the way he was walking around the party, chatting rubbish about them and introducing himself as a father and all that kind of shit, I just think it wound Ken up, and he was like, right, my time to rub the salt in the wounds. But it was wrong timing, because the kids are right there. Because now you've got him saying, oh yeah, the parents is in me and Tricia, when your step parent and the other parent is there. Then of course the parent's going to say something, and so he's like, yeah, hey, hi, I'm the dad. I'm like, Lord have mercy, this is going to go left, because obviously it ended there on that little cliffhanger. But next week, it looks like they're going to have a conversation. And I think Ken is doing well in keeping his composure, because even with the way the man was moving around the party, I know plenty of guys that would have kicked off and wouldn't have been able to hold themselves together. So I feel like he held himself very well. And it looks like he's still holding himself very well next week, when you've got Marquise chatting about, oh, you're just overcompensating because you don't have your own biological children. So I like that it looks like Ken is letting him know that, no, he just knows how to be a man and step up as a man. And clearly, Marquise is just vexed that there's someone else who's stepping up doing a great job and he isn't the person who's doing it. Because he's not really that bothered. He's the one who left his family in the first place. He didn't seem to make any moves to come back and make an effort to get your family back. But now you see that Tricia's moved on. She's got someone who stepped up and is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now you're in your feelings. I think he needs therapy. I think Tricia definitely needs therapy. I feel like Ken needs to be out of this mix-up until Tricia's got her head together. But, he's in love with that woman. I don't think he's going anywhere for now. But yeah, of course, I went to go and check out social media to see what people were saying on there. Here are some tweets that had me cracking up. Okay, so you've seen those tweets and you've heard what I have to say. Now, what are you saying? Let me know your thoughts below.
Yes, so thanks for watching that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you know when I am uploading some more of people's business. So until then, my nosy people, stay blessed.